彼の残した言葉の中にもあるんですが、いい写真を撮るための最初の条件、これはカメラを持っていることだと。彼が一番思考していたのは、多くの人にいかに写真を撮ってもらうか。
1960年代に前谷さんというオリンパスの技術者がいましてね。
カメラが当時はまだ高級品なので、前谷さんをはじめとする開発の方々が多くの人に使ってもらうにはどうしたらいいかって考えた中で、カメラ自体をもっと安く作りたい。
当時6000円で作れないかっていうふうにできたカメラです。
そして当時高かったフィルム代、現像代を少しでも負担を減らしたい。そうしたらハーフサイズのカメラを作ろう。そうすると倍撮れるのですごく経済的です。
で 35mm カメラの24枚だと48枚撮れます。それが非常に画期的だということで、使われた。ペンが出た時にオリンパスを持って家族写真を撮ったりなんかする人が非常にいましたですね。
主にプロを中心として使う機材が変わってきていた。なるべくいいものを作ろうと各社していて、どうしても大きくなってしまっている。その中で前谷はやっぱりプロが本当に求めるものってそういうことなのかっていうことに疑問を感じて、その中で生まれたのが OM1 だと考えています。
結局彼がこれ集大成なんですね。やっぱりかなり命が吹き込まれたカメラではないかなっていうふうに僕は思います。
When I got into the newspaper business, it was just coming off the time when 2.25 was kind of the equipment preferred. The guy that hired me came from the speed graphic day, the 4x5. As technology progressed, all of a sudden it was accepted that 35mm was great for newspaper work. It's not as physically imposing as a larger camera. The more I become invisible, the more I can become part of the scene, the more the photographic opportunities present themselves to me. The camera, it becomes a productive tool. It's there for a purpose. Maitani realized that, and that drove the original design of the OM. When you put it in your hand, everything was where you wanted it to be. The aperture's right here. My two front fingers take care of that. Other fingers fall back to the shutter speed. It's an enabler, it's a conduit, not an interference between you and what's happening.
1996年にオリンパスは最初の民生品のデジタルカメラを出したわけですけれども、フィルムであろうとデジタルであろうとないものを作るというのは全社共通で、今でも一番ベーシックなところに流れているのではないかなと考えます。
デザインを検討するときにスケッチを書いて最初検討して、その次にですね 3D データを入れてからこのようなラフな削りのモデルを作ります。でこれをベースにボタンの位置が適切であるかとか、あるいはグリップ性能はこれでいいかとかっていうのを検討していくんですけれども、我々が一番に考えていることはやはり使われる方、ユーザーのことです。
There's certainly an emotional connection with your camera. As soon as you pick it up, you know, you have a feeling. It's the design, it's how it looks, and it's how it's going to support you in achieving the image that you want to capture. Size and portability and mobility in photography is a message that we've been talking about for decades. The philosophy of the Olympus cameras is being able to shoot everywhere. We had a photographer go to Antarctica, and obviously you've got crazy low temperatures there. We created technology that enables them to do that. If you were that customer, what would the end solution be that you would want? It's important to always be thinking about what do people need, what are they going to need, what's the future going to be, and to aspire to deliver that.
災害に遭われた方が取り戻したいものの最も大事なものの一つがやっぱ写真なんですね。それって単なる現像された紙ではなくて、その当時の家族の思い出がやはりそこに残っているってみんなが思うので、思い出を取り戻したいという気持ちがあると思うんです。つまり写真にはそれだけの力があると 思っています。
I've got a photograph of our son. I think he was a year old. It's got the catch light in his eyes. Wonderful moment of him getting ready to tap the glass. It's not a great photograph, but it's a great moment. Wow, look at that. I remember that. Oh, look at this. You know, raising your kids, the pains and the struggle and the exhaustion and the joys and all these things that occur. What a wonderful confirmation it is of you as a human. This is who we are and who we were.
今でもそのものを作るにあたってはお客様の声というのをすごく大事にしています。舞谷が残した言葉の一つに、我々はカメラを開発提供しているんではなくて、カメラを通じて人々が幸せになることを提供しているんだっていう言葉があります。ないから作る、その精神というのを日々実現しようと、これこそが社会に対するオリンパスの役割だと思っています。
Good afternoon, everybody, or good morning, or good evening, wherever you are, and welcome back to my coffee time with Jimmy Cheng. And yeah, it has been a while, hasn't it? So I'm actually a little bit nervous and feeling a little bit rusty, to be quite honest. And it has been a whole month, maybe more than a month, since I last streamed on YouTube. So I'm excited to see actually quite a few of you already turned up, and yeah. You know, like I said, you know, this is all a little bit of a fun with me to trying to communicate with all of you. So it's been good. So I want to share a few things, obviously, before we start with the topic that I set out today. First of all, I have to say thank you for all the support that you've given me, you know, throughout the entire 2020, and 2021 seems to be so far as difficult as 2020. I would like to say a little bit differently, but then but for those who don't know, who are not in the UK, wouldn't quite understand, because you know, at the moment UK are in the third lockdown, so things aren't going the way we wanted to see. Kids are currently at home full time, just like the very first lockdown that we had early last year. So that means that we will have to look after them. They, like, you know, 24/7, they're at home all the time, and what that means is it's affecting everything, you know, like our daily life, especially young parents, and parents with young kids. Is one of those things that, you know, being a parent, and you know, you have to look after them. You know, they take priorities of everything, right? You know, they're eating, they're schooling, you know, they're studying and everything. So we have to look out of those first. That goes before anything that you do, right? And so that is exactly what happened. I have to put my work aside and look after them first. So the only time I could work on anything, even my personal stuff, yeah, it has to be after they go to bed. So that's the difficulty I'm facing, and that's why I haven't been able to do the live stream that I'm doing right now, nor produce any videos consistently, just because I couldn't work at all. I'm trying, you know, and but you know, I know a lot of you already said something to me, very encouraging. So that's what I'm saying. Thank you. You know, I know that you guys understand, but at the same time, I need to continue my work, you know, and as you know, that I don't have any more normal jobs that's coming in until the UK is opened up again. At least travel restrictions lifted. I don't have any sort of photographic jobs. Wedding is completely cancelled. You know, like this year looks like it's going to be the case as well. So there's no such a thing as photography business existed in the country. I mean, unless you're doing products and stuff like that. So that is not so good. Not only for myself, but everybody in the same industry as I am. So I'm just basically speaking on behalf of everybody who are in the industry. So it is quite tough for the UK people. And so just to share out a little bit of information what's happening in the UK. And if you don't see me posting any video whatsoever, don't worry, I'm actually safe and sound. You can always keep in touch with me through messagings or WhatsApp or Facebook. You know, I'm always on Facebook, and even a little bit less lately because I told you already, my kids are at home, so I spend less time on social medias. But this is what's happening. So just give you a bit update for the channel and about myself as well before I talk about anything else. So it is quite difficult. That's all. That's the word I would use. But I wouldn't say it's bad. At least everybody's safe and sound. You know, at least my kids are okay. They're happy. They don't seem to be affected by too much by what's going on around the world. They don't quite understand just yet. But they seem to be okay. The only thing they complain and moan about is the homework. But apart from that, they're good. So my wife is good. My wife still works full time. So God bless. You know, that's the what's really keeping everybody's going. And so I really appreciate the support that she's given me as well. And she knows that how much I've been struggling professionally, but you know, like I said, it's not just myself, it's everybody in the same industry as well. So for those who are still able to work wherever you are, you know, like, you are very, very lucky, and you know, like, God bless you guys as well, as long as you guys stay safe. And that's all I want to see. You know, keep creating, keep pumping out nice work. That is all good. And secondly, I want to say a few things as well, and just a little bit of fun. You see these fleas that I'm wearing? It's funny because I need to clarify that for those who in the UK, you may understand this joke. I don't work in Sainsbury, all right? Right. For those who don't know what Sainsbury is or what it is, it's basically a supermarket chain in the UK. It's one of the biggest. And then they have this color scheme, you know, the orange and this kind of burgundy color thing, you know, they do have this color scheme, yeah? I don't work in Sainsbury. This is actually not from Sainsbury. I actually bought this in Uniqlo. Well, no, actually, I didn't buy it. My wife bought it for me. And it's really funny because every time I go into Sainsbury, people would come up to me and ask me, oh, where can I find baked beans? Or where can I find cereals? You know, and things like that. So, sorry, mate, I don't work in a supermarket. And, but it is quite funny. Every time I wear this, I always get this comment. And but anyway, it's all good. It's all good. Let's say some hi to people first, and because I want to give a little bit of time for people to come in, because I know that people may not be aware that I'm live streaming again. So let's say hello to people. So good morning, Calvin, and it's always good to see you, and thank you for your coffee. And it's always good to, you know, see supports from you guys. I'm really truly grateful for that. And Hart, hello there, Hart. Good night, good evening. And Theo, hello from Netherlands. Burana, it has been a long time, really. You know, like I said, it's been over a month that I haven't been streaming at all. I do miss it. Truly, I do miss it. So Mark, hello there, Mark. And Paul from Hampshire, wet and dreary, Hampshire. You know, where I am at the moment is not that much better, to be quite honest. By the way, before I move on, is the audio okay? Because I want to give shout out to this little company who sent me this thing to test out the little mic. Right, I want to show you guys. Just lift it up a little bit. Can you see this little thing? This dinky little thing, it doesn't cost a lot of money, you know, to be honest. I think that the whole kit with this mic and little tripod thing is only about, I don't know, $30-40. You know, it's really, really cheap. They're the budget thing that for you to hook onto your camera or smartphone for vlogging stuff. But I thought, you know, I'll give it a try, you know, just to see how it sounds. And I haven't even fully tested yet. I'm just hooking it up today just to see that whether it works okay, though. If you guys can't hear me, tell me and let me know, and I'll change it over to my normal Rode mic, which is obviously, this will cost about 10 times of this thing. So it's definitely a different thing altogether. So let's continue the conversation there. So Steve, hello there, good day. And Matt, good evening from Birmingham. Right. And your problem are solved from March the 8th. I hope so, but did you read that little tiny little word there? He said our Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, actually said that at least the 8th of March, that's when the school would be considered reopened. So, you know, we don't know. There's no guarantee that they are going to be reopened. And to be quite frank, it all depends on the numbers of infections and all the other stuff, you know, and, you know, who knows, to be honest. I kind of lost confidence about the whole kind of the government decisions things, and I'm not trying to rant about it now. This is not the channel to talk about politics, but I do think that at this moment in time, when we're trying to plan something, and somehow the government would decide to do something else at the last minute, I wouldn't say last minute, last second, it basically completely throw your plans, just like crunch it and just throw it away. It's hard. It's hard for anybody to plan anything. I'm not just talking about holidays, who's going to go on holiday these days, but I'm talking about just general daily life. You're trying to plan something, or business is trying to do something, they plan, and then, yep, nothing happens. So anyway, so that's why I don't know whether it's going to be the case, but they say something, we will just have to see. It's about a couple of months, we will see what happens. And we went, hello there. And Marcus from Germany, hi there. And Mario, greetings from Costa Rica, hello. And Jason, you're back, thank you. And from NYC, New York. How's New York City, by the way? And I haven't been in touch about the US people that I know of, my friends from New York. So let me know how everything is in New York at the moment, whether it's as bad as London, to be honest. London hasn't been open since before Christmas. It is quite weird that once again we're lock ourselves in the house doing nothing. Steve, a few of us have the same thing, young ones running around like yeah, I feel you, man, I feel you. Tan, hello, Sudono, keep up the good spirit, the storm must pass. It will pass, yes, definitely, and that's why I'm keeping my positive energy going, and it is I'm trying to de-stress myself by speaking out in a way, and this is why I think this YouTube live thing has been quite helpful for me throughout the entire lockdown. Not only that I can share my passion in photography and of course Olympus, but also just to air out some of my concerns and also my feeling in a way, and that's what I think I could confidently say that you guys are my friends, and like I said before, this year, last year, I said so many times, if one day and opportunities come, I would really want to meet every single one of you, and just go out, have some fun with photography, just do something together, even just have a pint, just to talk about stuff. It will be a joy, it will be a celebration, and I would hope that day will come, and that's really my personal thing that I would like to say thank you to you guys. It's just been with me all through the year, and it's just been great. So today I do have something to say before the whole worst lens thing that I'm going to talk about today. It has come to my attention that there is a single person who got struck out of YouTube because of me, and well, that's how he worded it. Okay, let me rephrase the whole story, right? Okay, apparently this person was in this very stream, some time ago last year, and I don't know when exactly. So he was in this stream. Apparently he was commenting the whole thing that I was talking about, and being a little bit abusive. And I didn't know about it, to be quite honest. I remember some of you guys told me that some guy was trying to get my attention, and I'm suspecting it's that same person. I'm not entirely sure because there's no name was mentioned. But apparently, this very person, he has a channel on YouTube, and he got struck out, and he's now blaming me for that. He say that I take full responsibility of him out of YouTube. Right. First of all, I always said that, like, we have a very gentle, very friendly environment here, we have to respect each other. We can talk about things, but try not to be abusive and start calling each other's names and stuff like that. Just don't that sort of thing. And I'm happy to discuss, right? Like I said so many times, I don't want to devalue any other brands or any other format users. We all photographers here. Photography is our passion, right? Tools are tools. They are cameras. I may be an Olympus ambassador, Olympus user, but it doesn't mean that I don't like other cameras or like other brands or other photographers. All I do is admiring their work more than anything else. So that's one thing. And second thing is, I don't normally, well, actually, I have never ever reported to YouTube about anything, The only time I do that is when I see those. I don't know if you guys have seen it recently. Is those lonely lady has been leaving comments on my videos, and they said I'm lonely, I'm bored, whatever. Like those. Obviously, they are bots, from the porn sites. I don't know what they are. So I do report those stuff because obviously it's inappropriate in my channel. So I do report those. I usually are quite generous in terms of people leaving comments on my channel, on all my videos. Even I see some of the comments may be a little bit too aggressive. I just leave them there. Because people are entitled to your opinions. Right, so in that case, I just leave him. So I've never reported anything. So this person, if you're still watching, I didn't do anything. And third, you're also saying that Olympus may have made you out of the YouTube channel. Right, okay. The third thing is Olympus would never ever do that. Okay, they don't have the power, to be honest, and they don't even bother. There are so many people criticizing or even hate Olympus branded stuff. And then would they even have that resources or time to just go on to every single person who complain or just devalue the brand? No. This is like the internet, right? People. There has too many negatives that are going on anyway. Like not just Olympus, but there could be Canon, Fuji, Nikon haters out there. In that case. Would they just go on a wall and starting to go around internet and starting to just struck people, hit left, right, and center? They would never do that. So Olympus did not do that. I can guarantee that. Obviously, I don't know, and because I'm not involved, and whatever you have experienced over the last few weeks, I have no idea what's going on, and so that's all clarified. I'm just saying that this person, if you're watching, please make note of that. I did not do anything, nor Olympus. And the reason I'm being an Olympus ambassador is not because I defended Olympus in any way. I'm only sharing my experience of their products and how I feel about things in general. If you guys know me very well, in this live stream and watch all my videos, and you know that I always talk about other people's as well, other brand, other formats. I just said that, if Micro Four Third is not for you, you are very welcome to use other formats, other cameras. It's really none of my business, to be quite honest. And but I do appreciate the pros and cons that comes with full frame, medium format, APS-C, or whatever. I'll just say, all I was saying was Micro Four Third is suitable for what I do, and that's all it is. I never really say that Micro Four Third is the best system in the world. It will be the best system for me. It's personal thing. So I think that he may get a little bit confused about the whole thing. That and for all those people who wonder, what is it like to be an ambassador? I would say that nothing more than just sharing our passion and things. We could say things, just like Peter Forscar or Robin Wong before, everybody else. We always talk about products in Olympus because, first of all, we do have access to the equipment, so that's one thing. Second, we do talk about our genuine feedback. There are things that we do like, and there are things that we don't like. So you just have to bear that in mind, that we don't always say everything is like the best and the greatest and stuff like that. Like any companies, we try, like anybody, we have to be honest about everything, and that's how we can help, Olympus to grow and so they can take note of things that is not working too well, so they can improve in the next gen products and stuff like that. So hopefully this clears everything, and we don't get paid by Olympus to say anything. We don't get paid to do anything. Even on the YouTube channel, a few people have also commented saying that, we get paid by Olympus to say nice thing about their stuff. No, we don't get paid a penny. Olympus never really pay anything. We are not technically an employee from Olympus. We are just an ambassador. We represent the brand, but we don't get anything from them. Occasionally we may get a collaboration, a projects that we'll be working on together. Then I'll get a paid job, but like a normal job, like a contract. So that's different, but that's completely outside of what I'm doing in YouTube. So this is all clear. Hopefully that whoever this person is, and if you're still watching, and hopefully that clears it. Hopefully there's no anger there anymore, and it's just something that I would like to clear my name a little bit. I did not do anything. Full stop. Whew, that's it, man. Gosh. Right, okay, so let's get on with our today's topic. And I saw a few people have come back and That's good. So I'll just say hi for a few more highs first. And by the way, how is the audio? By the way, I haven't seen any comments about audio. Is this sound okay? No comments, but anyway, okay. I'm gonna say hi to a few people before we start. Yep. Hi Paul and hi John Fallows and Daniel from Romania. Hello there. Rented Tux. Is a flu 98.8% recovery rate. Yes. Ahmet, hello there, and Iswan, oh, hello then from Kuala Lumpur. Yes, great stuff. And Corona, yes, hello there. Jason, it's been a freezing cold in the past few weeks in the NYC. I saw you guys have lots of snow. We were hoping to see some snow in London, but it just not happening. We had some snow, and I think depending on regions, certain parts of London had quite a bit of snow over the last few days, but it's all melted now. You know, it's nothing as bad as you guys in NYC. We shall see. Visitors out of state region subject to 2 weeks quarantine. Yep. We are starting to think about quarantine hotels, by the way, and although it's a year late, but yeah, we are considering it. Calvin said audio is good. Excellent, crispy audio. So these tiny little things may be worth your investment if you're thinking about getting a mic. Yeah, it's called VitalPole. I don't know what it's called. VitalPole or VideoPole. I don't know how they call it, but anyway, I'll do a little review on these things, and I will link up the description in the comment section if you fancy checking a very, very cheap, very, very cheap thing. And so that means it works. I'm happy about that. Okay, great stuff. Cool. Right. Okay. Worst lens. So shall I start it off with my worst lens I ever tested or owned? Okay. It may come as a surprise. Right, the worst lens I've ever owned or tested is the one that I recently reviewed. So I feel so bad, I feel so bad because they sent me this lens to test, yeah, and I have to say such a bad thing. But I'm just trying to be honest. It's this guy here, the 7 Artisan 0.95, right? On paper, this thing does look impressive, right? And it's got 35mm focal length. It's got a 0.095 aperture. It feels good on the hand as well. It's fully metal and glass. But it's the image quality. If you guys haven't seen the video, just go back to my channel and see that 35.95 review from 7 Artisan. And it's a lot to discuss about the image quality of this thing. At wide open, I would say that unless you are really craving for that specific look, it's almost, to me, unusable for a lot of things that I do. Like I said, if you are looking for that very, very specific look, if you are a person who would like to just to test out the very old school vintage black and white experiment, this lens may be for you. But for me, I need a lens that can perform like well in both black and white and colors, and this thing can't do colors. I can tell you that. There's too much chromatic aberrations, too much chroma going on, and it just not sharp, and it just not I would say not versatile enough for me to do any kind of work at all. I would like to say a little bit of good thing about it, and unfortunately, from the image quality department, this just isn't it. And it actually won the award of being the worst lens I've ever tested. I feel so bad. I really feel so bad. The good thing is, it really builds like a tank though. It's got full metal. I just want to show you guys, and it's got full metal. It does look like a Leica lens, and it is actually pretty amazing looking thing. And it feels good as well. It just let down by image quality. So there you go. This is my worst lens I've ever tested. I have like so many lenses in my life, like I still got probably about 20-30 lenses lying around here, but none of that come close to this in terms of image quality. But I also received a lot of recommendations from all of you. First of all, let me go back to my community post, because I have put up a post in the community asking for your worst lens ever, and you have given me some pretty cool answers as well. And I have also posted the same question on my Facebook and some other groups that I know of. They all given me some lenses as well, so let's go through some of them. Let me see what sort of things you have and how your reaction is compared to the others, whether you think they are lying or just not right, you know, that you must have a bad copy or something. And let's go through it together, because I think it's actually pretty fun. Right, first, William is suggesting a Canon lens. Right, his worst lens ever was I presume it's a kit lens, so it's a Canon 18-55 and also the 55-200 millimeter lens, and this is definitely a kit lens. I know that they used to sell them in combos, and well, to be quite honest, I never used any APS-C EFS lenses for Canon before. I mean, all my Canon lenses were full frame lenses, so I have no experience in them. But if you say they are really bad, and they must be quite bad. I don't know about you guys. I don't know if you have any sort of experience with these two lenses there, 18-55 and 55-200 EFS lenses for Canon. He said he's replaced both of them with one lens, which is the Tamron 16-300 millimeters. And to be quite frank, I think that third-party manufacturers, you know, and people like Tamron, Tokina, and Sigma, especially Sigma, they have come out quite, I would say that a lot better over the last 10 years. They have improved so much now, you know, like you've seen a lot of the reviews on like dpreviews.com and other, you know, review channels. These third-party manufacturers, their lenses are actually pretty well now, you know, pretty good performance, whether it's going to be on full frame cameras, medium format, or micro four third APS, you name it. They do a fantastic job. They're not like what they used to be, you know. And I remember when I first started photography, if you can't really afford the real deal, yeah, you know, the proper original lenses from Canon, Nikon, things like that, if you buy like Sigma, you know, Tamron, Tokina, you know, they are maybe just a little bit better than kit lenses. You know, they weren't exactly that good, and they are cheaper though. You know, like if you want to buy a, let's say, a 51.4, you buy from Sigma, it will be a lot cheaper than the 51.4 from Canon, and that was the true fact. And they would perform just slightly better, so it's a trade-off there. But anyway, so that was the story. But these days, you know, they are almost as good as the original lenses, and so they are quite fantastic. So I wouldn't disagree if you say that Tamron is better than the Canon kit lenses. So so that will be it. Then also the second lens is right. Anybody has this old 4/3 lens? Is the 14-42. Yeah, this is the not micro four third, but actually 4/3 lens for the E420. It's a kit lens. He said that it was very, very bad, and well, we shall see. And I have no experience with that particular lens either. So if you guys share the same thing, and then yep, please let me know. Right, another really interesting one, which I also haven't got or haven't tested or seen one, is the first footprint photography nominated, the Pentax A 645 45mm 2.8. And wow, this is, I think I have this lens on my rangefinder camera. You know, it would be similar quality and similar sort of how I'll put it. It will be similar optical formula with that particular camera. I mean, it was a film camera, medium format. So this lens, to me, it was actually okay. It was quite sharp. So maybe it's the copy you got. Maybe it's a different lens. I mean, if it's the same optical formula, I would suspect that this is a very good lens. And because my experience with the 45-2.8 from Pentax using on a medium format 645 cameras, it was actually pretty okay. It's quite sharp. I wouldn't say blow my mind, but it's actually, yeah, it's decent. It's decent enough, I think. It's pretty good. Someone must hate Sigma, you know, like someone just say that Sigma heavy and bad AF, right? Okay, just a general comment about any Sigma lenses, I guess. I may disagree with that because I own a few Sigma lenses in the past, and okay, from the very older generations of Sigma lenses, maybe they're quite bad and stuff like that, but modern day Sigma lenses are actually pretty good, especially the art series. You know, they are. You know, you can see Sigma lenses are actually quite expensive these days if you buy for full frame cameras. They are cheaper than, you know, obviously Canon, Nikon, but they aren't that cheap anymore, you know, like not like what they used to be like 15-20 years ago. So they have increased their prices actually by quite a big margins compared to the old days, but also at the same time the quality does improve quite significantly over time. In terms of AF speed, I think it really depending on the systems. The people have reported that the AF on Sigma AF on certain cameras actually is okay. So I guess it's kind of chicken and egg, you know, like they're not really you know, making specifically for that particular camera. They're making a lens that will kind of adapt to all kinds of different cameras and different mounts. So it is always trade-off there. So you're not gonna get like a almost like 100% compatibility there. Then that could be the issue there. So I wouldn't actually discount them. They are bad lenses, but at the same time, it could be your experience, maybe the specific copy that you have about Sigma lenses that made you think that. So yeah, you know, if you guys have bad experience about Sigma lenses, also let me know as well. So Paul, you have nominated, which is quite surprising. Paul has nominated Olympus 17mm 1.8. His comment is very soft, unusable below 5.6, and out of the 20 plus lenses tested at college, it was remarkable for easily being the worst performer. And he used the 12mm f2 and the 25 1.8 instead. Wow, okay. My experience of the 17 1.8, which I have it right here, is fantastic. Right, I'm not really discounting what you said there. It really could be the copy that you have that gave you that very common there. I found it to be extremely sharp even at wide open 1.8. The corner performance may not be the strongest point, you know, compared to maybe the high grade lenses, but it's certainly usable. You know, it's especially center sharpness is pretty darn good, you know, like for those who use 17 1.8, you probably agree with me, right? You know, and you really could have a lemon copy there, to be quite honest. And I wouldn't even think that would use the word unusable below 5.6. That is quite a statement, because 5.6 you're stopping the lens down quite a bit, and to be honest, by f4 this lens is super sharp across the entire frame. And so it really could be your particular lens copy, and you know, you still have it. If it's still under warranty, you should send it back to Olympus and get it fixed, because I suspect that you may have a bad copy there, because I have used not just one, but I have used 2 or 3 different 17 1.8 in my life. They all seem to perform really well, and you see it's mounted on my EM5 here, and this thing is basically my street lens. If I go out, go travel, you know, if I don't want the bulk of my 1.2 lenses, the 17-1.8, 25-1.8, and the 40-1.8 is kind of always in my bag just because they're so tiny, and they're good. They're good enough to do a lot of stuff. Right. Let me know what you think about it, that particular comment. And that really shocked me a little bit about the 17-1.8. If you talk about the kit lenses, I mean, I could kind of relate to that, but then the 17-1.8, nah, can't be. That's a good lens, man. Okay. Now another nomination is the Olympus 14-42 EZ, and I believe this is the Pancake electronic zoom lens. It's a fantastic size, he said, functionality, but very poor image quality. I would love to see a version 2 with better IQ. Right, I have that lens, not here, it's in my camera bag at the far corner, so don't reach out for it now. But I have reviewed this lens. Okay, it's not gonna blow your socks off in terms of image quality, but I do think it's a decent kit lens, and you know, if someone, let's say if someone coming into photography as a beginner, if they want a kind of like an all-in-one lens that kind of can do everything, a bit of everything, while having the smaller size possible, this is actually a very, very good lens. And then, like I said, you can't really compare the 14 to 42 EZ to a premium lens. You know, yeah, you can forget about comparing to pro lenses, but yeah, it may not be to that sort of level, but it's definitely better than a lot of kit lenses I've seen before. So again, I don't know your expectation. You know, you may have very, very high expectation about this lens. But for me, I think that generally, I think it's actually pretty good. And then overall kit lens, I would say, you know, and it's value for money. It's perfect. It's really compact. You know, it's really tiny. And you can take it anywhere. You can just put it on like a pen body or something like that. You can just chuck it to your jacket pocket. It will be fun, right? It's actually pretty good. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I respect all your comments here. But I just want to clarify a few things. If you are nominating a lens that I know about, then I would just say that my experience of those lenses is this and that. So don't take it personally. You know, I'm just saying how I feel about them. Right, Cray has nominated Interstar 69 28mm 2.8. I do used to have a lot of Interstar old Russian lenses. I don't have this particular one, the 28 2.8, but I suspect just like in a lot of the Russian lenses there, they are pretty old school. You know, the rendering is very soft. At wide open, your one's 2.8. I mean, I have some 1.4 lenses. They are, or f2 lenses. They are very, very glowy. You know, like when you shoot at wide open, you see a lot of glow, a halo going on. Very low contrast and not very sharp either. So a lot of them are like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if you actually say the Interstar 28 2.8 is like that. So it is actually very interesting that you have that common. So let's see. There's some replies there. I'll see if there is any other people that actually have the similar thought about it. Oh, someone did reply in his comment saying that Sigma 100 to 300 f5.6 to f8 heavy. Useful for me. Right, okay, this is actually replying to the comment. Okay, that's fair enough. Right, and finally for my community post is the John McKeel. You are nominating the Sigma 60mm f2.8 DN. Softer than a wobbly jelly. Oh wow. Okay, John, you have nominated the Sigma, right? Okay. I was so close to getting this lens just to try it out, but I didn't. And maybe I'm lucky I didn't, because in Olympus we do have the fantastic 62.8 macro lens, right? You know, that is just a phenomenal performer, and I don't see the 62.8 DN is how I put it. In terms of price, it's not significantly cheaper than the Olympus version, so that's why I didn't end up getting it. And but if you say it's softer, I would probably believe you. And I haven't really seen a lot of people using this particular lens there from Sigma either, so you could be right there, and there could be the reason why not many people are buying this particular lens. But I will be curious to find out the image quality about these things, and because they were made for Micro Four Third. You know, they had a Micro Four Third mount, but I just never really get a chance or opportunity to try it. Maybe it's really that bad. I'm just curious to see. Right, okay, before I move on to my Facebook nominations, so let's see how you guys are doing as well, because I can totally see that you guys are already commenting with some of your nomination live here as well now. Oh, Nat is here. Hi Nat, and Rob Track's in the house. Hi Rob, how are you? Thank you for organizing that group, you know, Micro Four Third creators meetup. I think this is fantastic. Hope you guys were all there. Look watch the whole thing as well, because it was so fun just to check out everybody, you know, like, and knowing everybody as well is obviously the most important thing. So Rob has done a fantastic job. If you guys don't know Rob and new to this channel, and or new to Micro Four Third, you're just tuning in here just to listening to all this fun thing about worse lenses, and do check out Rob's channel. You know, he's fantastic. You know, he's also a Micro Four Third Olympus enthusiast, and great content creator. You know, like he has a lot of tips and tricks about Olympus and photography in general. So do check out his channel as well. And yeah, it's fun. It's fun. So thank you, Rob, for organizing that. That was really good. Okay, so I just want to see who else nominated something here. So Matthias, you have nominated Pentax. Oh, another Pentax lens, 135 1.8. I heard that lens was actually pretty good. Really? This is the worst lens you ever used. Because 135 1.8 is a pretty darn amazing lens, and interesting. I haven't fully tested it, but I did held one once, and but I haven't kind of use it on anything else but a Pentax camera, so I really don't know the effect when it's using on Micro Four Third. But having said that, I can share my experience about Micro Four Third or adapting lenses on Micro Four Third. Right. Don't know if you remember. I talked about this before Christmas. Right. I always said that Micro Four Third lenses are the sharpest lenses in the world. You know why I said that? Because we have one of the highest pixel per inch density in the entire photographic industry. If you scale it up, the Micro Four Third sensor to a full frame, you are talking about at least about 80 megapixels. So like this is quite dense. So to perform the way it performs on Micro Four Third, it has to be a like stupidly well designed and well put together lens. So full frame, on the other hand, especially some of the older full frame lenses or film camera lenses, you will find that they weren't designed the same way, and they weren't designed for that kind of resolutions, and full stop. And don't forget that nowadays modern digital cameras has already surpassed the resolutions that we had in the analog days. And back in the old days, if you talk about like 12 megapixels, 16, 18 megapixels, you know, you can argue that, you know, some of the finer grain films, you know, black and white or colors, would still able to match or even surpass the quality of digital sensors. But nowadays, we are talking about 20 minimum, you know, on the Olympus platform, or some even higher, like in general, 24, 26 megapixel sensors out there. They are outperforming in terms of resolutions and resolving details compared to films. And imagine these older lenses, they aren't really tailored for that. And when you adapt those lenses onto Micro Four Third, you are basically magnifying what's already quite bad. and that is probably one of the reasons why that you have that sort of experience. Because even like I have a couple of really expensive lenses that, you know, Leica, I have a 51.4 Summilux for my Leica M. That lens costs about $3.5 grand alone, just the lens itself. And I have also the Zeiss ZM 35 1.4, also for my Leica, and that thing costs about $2 grand. And these are expensive lenses. And when I adapt to the Micro Four Third, I saw fringing going on everywhere, and then I actually noticed a little bit of a halo that I'd never really noticed in my full frame camera when I look back to any of those files. Only if I blow it up to like gigantic pixels and I see them. So this is exactly what's going on. When you adapt something that is designed for full frame, put it onto the Micro Four Third, and that's when you see all kinds of flaws going on. I wouldn't say they're flaws, they just weren't designed for Micro Four Third. And for that, I could do a counter argument saying that Micro Four Third lenses, the way that we so the quality that we have on some of these top level Micro Four Third lenses, they are indeed some of the best lenses in the world, because when you scale it up into a full frame world, you know, these things could be the sharpest lenses ever, you know, in the full frame world, you know, as simple as that. But obviously, you know, it's a very different thing. I can't compare chicken and, well, I can't compare apple and oranges because they're totally different things, but I'm just talking in theory, because people are adapting lenses left, right and center these days, and it's quite easy to forget, you know, they are designed for different things altogether. So just bear it in mind. But I, you know, because I remember the Pentax 135 1.8 is a pretty okay performer, you know, I can see that. So but I do share your comment, because I had a similar experience with my own very expensive lenses that I just told you about. So let's see the next one. Mark, you have the Tamron 16 to 300, 18 to 400 are really nice. I used them for my Nikon before switching back to Olympus. Right, those are good Tamron lenses. Marcus A. Worst lens, it would be the 14 to 150 millimeters Mark II. Oh, who has that lens? I've never tried any super zoom lens. You know, do they call these super zoom lenses? Which is a very wide range of focal length. You know, 14 to 150 is massive, and this is I think one of the kit lenses of or not kit lenses, but the lower end lenses in the Olympus. So let me know your thought about it, because I haven't personally tried that. Maybe I should actually try the ball run from Olympus and try it out myself, just to see whether it's good or not. But you can't, you know what, the thing is, you can also say that when you start to upgrade your lenses, and when you got better lenses, and now you look back at some of the older photos that you took with the older lenses, you will start to realize that, oh wow, you know, and this is exactly the excitement you always get when you buy a new lens, right? You know, and or when you upgrade a lens. I remember when I first got my EM5 Mark 1, the very first one, it came with that electronic zoom lens. Also the 14 to something, I can't remember, the longer one, not the pancake one. And when I first got it, I thought, oh, it's actually not bad for a kit lens. You know, I was pretty pleased with it. And then I got my second micro four third lens was the 12mm f2. That was my second micro four third lens. So I bought that. As soon as I put it on the camera, took one shot, just one shot, and then I not even looking at the screen from the computer, just looking from the back of my screen, I was already astonished just how much better that lens was compared to the same focal length from the kit lens. And you know, it's that joy, and also only then you have a comparison, and you just realize that how much you are kind of missing in a way if you do pay for a better lens. And so I think in photography, and especially in the lens world, and you do really get what you pay for. So if you're really craving for higher quality renderings and things like that, you know, you can't really argue that some of the higher grade lenses are better, aren't better than the kit lens, whatever. You know, they are better, you know, full stop, you know, because that's why they cost so much more, not just from the build quality point of view, but also, you know, and most importantly, the image department, you know, the image quality department, they're always going to be a lot better in many ways, you know, whether it's going to be distortion, fringings, resolutions, and sharpness, whatever, micro contrast, everything is going to be a lot better. Yeah, that's something, right? And Theo, your worst lens was the Nikon kit lens, 18 to 55. I've heard something about that one, so interesting you mentioned that. I've heard about that lens being a bad lens, and I have no personal experience because I'm not really a Nikon shooter, so it's going to be interesting to see some images comparison between these and some of the more maybe high grade Nikon lenses, or even like compared to Olympus. But 18 to 55 kit lens were quite bad. In fact, what you just said here, it also coincides with the other guy who I just mentioned earlier from Canon. You know, the Canon also had the similar range, 18 to 55, and he also said that it was a really bad lens. So I presume a lot of these really low-end DSLR kit lenses were really bad in general. Not only they were plastic construction, but also they literally didn't think a lot to put into those kit lenses. They just give you an opportunity to take some pictures. They don't really care about image quality, the kind of thing. So I think in a way that Nikon and Canon could have done a lot better. You know, they might just simply apply some of the older optical design, just slap it onto a different body and just sell you that lens. It's quite bad in a way, but I can see that. And Capitan, hello there. And you, worst lens is the 51.2L. Really? Wow, that's interesting. That's interesting. I don't know. I mean, I don't have the 51.2. I have the 51.4. And at the time, you know, I had the 85.1.2. But the 51.2 was quite a well-used professional lens in the Canon world. So I would be quite interesting to hear your thought about it. I know at wide open, you really can't compare with the more modern 1.2 lenses anymore, because this 51.2 is quite old, you know, and to be quite frank, this lens could be about what, 15 years old now. It's quite an old lens. I know the newer Performer, the new RF lens is a lot better in basically in every way. So it could be just an old lens that weren't designed for digital, you know, because I know the 51.2L, similar to the first version of the 85 1.2L, they were designed for film cameras. They weren't really designed for digital cameras. So you could see that it may not be enough, you know, in terms of coatings, you know, to reduce ghosting from the sensor, and all the other bits that are associating with it. So yeah, it could be due to age, maybe the older design than anything else. Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. You have that, you know, nomination there, because 51.2 I know is a very well respected pro lens in the Canon world. But like I said, you know, like, I'm only sharing my experience in things that I know. And for those who are new here, before I became an Olympus guy, you know, I was working with Canon for 15 years, so I know Canon gears quite well, up to the point that I switched to Olympus, of course. And also I was a Leica guy. That's why I mentioned a few expensive Leica lenses. I worked with Leica for 2 years, so I do have some of the expensive stuff. So I was exposed to a lot of different lenses, and of course my own collections, and I do, you know, if I do have time and budget, I will also collect some lenses and camera myself as well. So it's only my experience, you know. That's why I think it's quite a fun chat today, you know, just to see how you guys think about your worst lenses and what your experience with them. And it's quite good for me to know as well. If I hear something that I think, oh, maybe worth investigating, maybe I will just try to get this lens and see how good or how bad it is. Maybe make a video out of it for this channel. That would be quite good. Okay, Rob, your worst lens. I saw that video. Your worst lens was the Yongo 42.5, right? You really hated that lens. And I know you talked about this lens, or mentioned how bad it was a few times, and I haven't tried this lens at all, so I wouldn't know how it performed. But you know, I trust your experience, because you know, you've been shooting with Michael Four Thirds a lot, and you're also exposed to a lot of different lenses. So if you say it's bad, it must be quite bad. Well, I'll be curious to find out though. And Wu, hello there. So Ash Wu, worst lens for you is the Laowa. Oh, Laowa 4mm 2.8 fisheye lens. Right. Okay. First, the camera grip would be in the photo. That is very true. That is very true, and also highlighted in my review as well. Two is not even a full circle on my Olympus sensor. Was it not a full circle? Maybe not. I can't remember exactly whether it's a full circle. Maybe top and bottom got chopped a little bit. I need to go back to my video to see. And I don't have that lens anymore. I returned it. And but it was a pretty fun lens though, you know. But I do agree, because it's because of the nature how they design the lens. Instead of making the barrel a little bit longer and thicker to avoid, because the thing is about for fisheye lenses, especially circular fisheye lens, is you have a 180-degree viewing angle, and that means that if you let's say if I put a lens in here, and then any grip would be seen in the fisheye lens, because you got this entire 80-degree, you know, like a fan, right? And you see anything left and right. It is quite difficult to shoot with that lens, because you will see people's hands, fingers, grip, whatever you name it, you know, on left or right of the frame. It is pretty annoying. But you can't argue with the image quality. It's pretty darn amazing. I guess you have to adapt to it. If you want to use that lens, you may have to get a completely flat body like the Pen F, and you have to hold it in a certain way so your finger's not in the way as well. So it's going to be a little bit tricky, I guess. I think the better full circular fisheye lens was the Samyang? I think the Samyang lens is because he has a longer lens barrel, which kind of got rid of the problem that I just mentioned. But they both have the bulging elements there, so just beware of the fingerprint smudging thing. You know, you're gonna damage the front coating, whatever. Just be careful of that. But either that is great fisheye lens. But Ash Wu, I do totally agree with your comment, because I have the same experience with that lens. I wouldn't call it the worst lens, but I would say that, yeah, you highlighted one of the flaws in the design, and I totally agree with it. And Nat, hello there. Worst lens ever. Right, he's gonna think about it, right? And I had the very soft lens, Sigma lenses in the past. Right, Nat, do enlighten me about your choice. And the Sigma lenses, like I said, is I mean, I have some kind of love and hate relationship about it. I also saw the same lens being nominated. Well, I might as well talk about it now. I had one of the older generation Sigma zoom lens for Canon cameras. It has a nickname in the photographic world. It's called the Bigma. Right, for those people, if you know what Bigma is, it was one of those very first super zoom lens. Right, this Bigma covers the focal length between 50 to 500. It's a 10 times magnification lens. It's crazy, right? 50 to 500 is massive, this length. And it was also the very first, to me, it was the very first pro lens I've got. It wasn't even a pro lens, but I consider pro lens because I use it for work. That was my first wedding lens. Now it sounds so embarrassing now, but I couldn't afford the Canon 70 to 200 2.8 at the time. I was just starting out. I had no money, and I did have the Canon full frame camera, the 5D, and I have the 24 to 70 f2.8L, so that was the only pro lens I have, but I don't have anything longer. So and I couldn't afford, like I said, the 70 to 200, so I bought the Bigma, to do the job. So I think that lens, I had a little bit of love and hate relationship with that, because first of all, for let's say the positive, I do admire that range. That 50 to 500 is crazy. You can use it as a 50, which is like a standard lens, right? You can use it for 50, and you can zoom all the way in, so you can do a lot of paparazzi work. You can do a lot of really high compression shots that you want, and you just get some crazy details because it's just the range you have there. But right, here's the but now. That's where the good stuff ends, basically. Right. The focus is noisy. There was no HSM, which is the kind of equivalent of silent motor in USM in Canon world. And the Bigma hasn't got any sort of silent motor, so it's very noisy to use. Second, image quality is, oh gosh, just not there. At 50 millimeters, it's okay, but at 500, gosh, you might as well forget it. It's soft. It was a lot of ghosting, and then it's got like very horrible pincushion distortion. It just not great. You have to do a lot of work to it to make the image usable in a professional, in the professional world. So that's why, like, after like a few weddings, I saved enough money to get the 70 to 200 2.8, and I sold the Bigma. And that was the reason I got rid of it. But I wouldn't say it's really that bad, but it's bad enough for not to be used in professional world. But anyway, that was the old days, and I did see someone nominated on Facebook. That's why I talk about that lens now, and is something that I would say in the modern days now is not acceptable. I'm pretty sure the Sigma has really done a new version of it. I'm pretty sure I saw something like that, 50 to 500. They may have a Mark II or maybe even a Mark III now. So those may be a lot better than the one that I had, and that one that I had was about 22 years ago now. So that's very old. Right. Your worst lens is the Fujian 35 1.6 manual lens. Oh, I haven't. 10 quid. Is that how much you pay for it? Right, okay. Well, 35 1.6 for 10 quid. You can't really argue though for 10 quid, right? It's so cheap. For me, if I get a lens for 10 quid, yeah, I probably wouldn't complain too much. I would probably just use it for fun, like for some fun effect or something like that. Maybe just put some Vaseline on the front element just to do some crazy shots. You can't complain about a £10 lens, right? I'm sure. And Rob agree with me. You said the 17 1.8 is your favorite lens. I think it's a very good lens. So I'm just go back to that comment there. Paul Pedersen, if you're complaining about your 17-1.8, I really think that you may have a very bad copy. So I suggest you to go back and just to maybe talk to Olympus, maybe talk to a service provider, just to check out your very copy, because I'm pretty sure the 718 is good, because I have one right here. This is my own copy, but I also have tried a few others which kind of sent to me with the camera for testing, and they all seem to perform well, and some of them are completely battered, and they still deliver the image quality. So I'm pretty sure your 17-1.8 is something wrong with it. Right. Sven has nominated SLR Magic 8mm, which is for impossible to make somewhat cool usable picture. Really that bad? I haven't, to be quite frank, I haven't actually tried any SLR Magic lenses. I would like to, maybe someday I'll try and get in contact with them to see where I can get a copy of them, just to try it out to see what it is. But did you guys like my 7 Artisan my worst lens review, and some other lenses like per gear stuff that I've been doing, because I've been working in collaboration with them, and so I will getting a lot more lenses to test out. So if you guys are really into per gear, like cheap, really cheap low end manual focusing lenses, I got a few more coming, so you can actually see a lot of them quite soon. In fact, I'm gonna have one video coming out very soon, and which is I already showed you before Christmas, so I might as well show you now, which is this guy here. This is the 7 Artisan again, 7 Artisan pancake lens. No, not pancake, UFO lens, right? I know a couple of you actually bought this lens after I showed it to you on over Christmas, right? These things, I have to show it to you how thin it is. Right, this is the lens. I don't know if you can see this thing over these focuses. Right, can you see that? Right, this is the UFO lens. It's a fixed focal length is a 18mm 6.3. So if you're talking about focal length, which is actually pretty good for street, because 18 is about what, 36, so it's actually good, and 6.3 aperture, even though you may think slow, but for a disc lens like this, or for a panfocal lens, it's actually pretty bright, because a lot of the lenses like this, like the Olympus body cap lens, the 15 f8, like I said, is f8 already. So a lot of the panfocal lenses are f8 aperture, because they just want to close down, and you don't have to focus, right? You know, you just close down and just means everything's in focus. So the 7 Artisan is actually bright by one stop at 6.3, so it's actually pretty good. Stay tuned for my review, which is coming out this Sunday, so you will see this little guy here, and what's my thought about it. I don't want to leak out anything, you just have to watch that video to see exactly what my thought is about this UFO lens. And it's certainly interesting looking, right? It's a very cool, fun looking lens, but how it performs, you'll find out. Okay, let's see, Dave. Oh, hello, David. That's good. How are you? Right, Sven's got another one here. Tokina mirrorless 500 FA used on a Pen F, completely useless. I have tried the Tokina mirror lens 500. Yes, I have tried that. Right, for those people who may not appreciate mirror lenses, is that in terms of image quality, they are a little bit quirky, and because of the nature of a mirror lens, they're also the cheapest long focal length lenses you can get on the market, regardless of format. You know, obviously that you already talked about Tokina for the Micro Four Third, but there are also mirror lenses on the full frame market, and they are the same. You know, no matter what brand you're looking at, you know, Canon and Nikon used to make these lenses, but of course, you know, over the time, you know, like they moved on to the proper lenses, but they were designed for budget people, you know, because for people who wants a longer focal length, but couldn't afford the you know, the tens of thousands of pounds of worth of lenses in the pro kind of arena, because these sort of focal length back in the old days, they weren't available for consumers. They're more likely for professionals, and so the mirror lenses were designed for that, and they're quite cheap. They're using mirror reflection, and that's why you see this ring bokeh dotted everywhere when you shoot with it. It's quirky, but I can see that people may use it for artistic reasons these days. And having said that, I know Tokina and also Cosina also make these lenses as well for Micro Four Third. I tried one and I had to return it, so it wasn't my lens. And it was pretty fun to me. It was pretty fun. But like, yeah, I do agree with you. It's not something that I would use for any applications that I do, not for portrait, of course, and not for anything. Maybe if I want to do something rather artistic, maybe I'll try 1 or 2 shots of it, but that will be it. So it's a very niche lens that I would not use constantly. So I would definitely share your concern about that, and about being unusable, because yes, you're quite right there, probably 80-90% even cases that you will not be able to use those pictures. And Matthias, your nomination is Sigma 2.8 was one of my one of your first lens and works for me. Okay, so Matthias, you like the Sigma 60 2.8, unlike the other person who was John, who talked about that lens is saying too soft, but in your case is actually good. See, that's the thing, right? You know, there are people who like the lens, and some people will hate it, depending on what sort of thing you're looking at. And maybe, you know, worst case would be that you got a bad copy, and sometimes it does happen. You know, regardless of whether it's going to be Olympus, whether it's going to be other brands, you know, it doesn't really matter. You do have some good and some bad ones. So I do suggest, usually, if you got something like really bad, like for instance, if you buy a lens and you test out a few shots where you shoot wide open, you know, that's the easiest thing to spot, is wide open. You open up the aperture, whether it's going to be f2, 1.8, 1.2, whatever, 5.6 even, just open up wide, and then you just shoot something. And if it comes out really soft, has lots of coma, lots of fringing, and that's a problem, usually, because in modern day now, if you're buying something new, they are usually pretty decent and wide open now, you know, not like the old days. So do check it, you know, and if you get a lens that is soft, go back straight away, return the lens or ask for exchange, try another copy if you can. And if it's still within warranty, if you can't return it, if it's still within warranty, I do suggest you to go back to the manufacturer, try and ask for the service department, warranty department, saying to check this lens out, you know, because it's just not usable. And that way that you, hopefully they can be able to, you know, replace or just repair the lens for you. So that would be my advice about buying lenses these days, especially new lenses, because I really can't imagine, like, I would say that as far as 10 years ago, you know, like most of the 10-year-old lenses, you know, they are pretty decent performers, you know, compared to the older film days I'm talking about. They are pretty good in general now, not like when I first started photography, you know, if you want something really, really decent, you have to go for the pro lenses, and that's for sure. But nowadays, even like premium lenses, you know, like the 1.8 lenses from Olympus or 1.7 from Panasonic, you know, they are good. They are really good. You know, I have to say they will satisfy 99% of the people out there. You know, unless you're really looking for weather seal, whatever, you know, like you name it. Otherwise, they are good as gold, you know, like these things. You know, the 1.8 lenses are pretty darn amazing. Matt, you're undoubtedly the Olympus 58. Please do a UK MFT talk with Emily. Oh yeah, I know Emily. Emily's a fun girl, right? Okay, right, all right. Thank you for the suggestion. Maybe I'll do something with Emily. Yes. Right. Matthias also responding about the 13518. Yes, it is. I'm just reading some comments, mate. Sorry about that. Okay, Miroslav. Is there any? As there are Micro Four Thirds measurings for lenses and sensors. Way back there were resolution measurements for 35 films. 20 years back, calculated the best film, and they still use the same chart. They still use it, and I think DP Reviews or maybe even DxO has those charts, and which also measure resolutions and or the resolving. In the talking about lines per inch, right? You know, they're actually trying to shoot wide open and look at how far they can get. I know they still use that chart for all lenses regardless of format. So they do that for medium format, APS-C, and Micro Four Thirds. Yeah, they still do that. They still do that. But I just don't have access to those equipment or testing methods. And it takes a long time. You know, people don't always agree with me. The reason why how I conduct my review is I based on how I use the lenses for what I do, and also because I know a lot of people are quite interested in kind of lab environment test, you know, like a very controlled testing environment. But for me, I'm more interested in the real life situation, because I don't shoot in the lab. I don't shoot a lot in the studio either. A lot of my work is done on the street in location. And the thing is, when you're doing in locations anything could happen, you know, like lighting, weathers, you know, everything could affect the outcome. So what I do, I usually would test it in different environments. I would shoot with something that I used to shoot with, you know, normally with models, but obviously it's not happening in the last 2 years. Not last year, not 2 years, last year, and maybe this year as well, so 2 years. And so that's how I usually look at a lens, is how I would use it. So if something that I think it falls short of my expectation as a lens that I would use it for my professional environment, I would say it's a bad thing. But if it satisfies me, and I'll say, yeah, it's great, you know, it does the job for what I do. And that's how I look at it. Because I think, I know sometimes lab tests is good to analyze, you know, how good it is for a lens design. But at the same time, I think if you drill down to the very pixel level perfection, I think that it could, you may miss out a lot of other elements such as renderings and bokeh quality and other things as well, you know, because being the sharpest lens may not be the best lens ever, you know. Like you have to look at the overall aesthetics, you know, and other things that comes with it as well. And at the same time, I wouldn't say that the Olympus Pro lenses, you know, like for instance, I'm just trying to give you an example here. The Olympus 25 1.2 Pro, right, is a fantastic lens, right? It's not the sharpest lens, I would say. It's not the sharpest lens in the world. For that particular lens, I wouldn't say the sharpest lens, but the overall aesthetic, coupled with the, you know, good enough sharpness at wide open 1.2, and the whole rendering issues, the colors that are generated by the contrast, it does give you a very good results. You know, this is kind of my general thing that I would say about certain lenses. So I wouldn't say that these things can resolve, you know, like 80 lines per inch. You know, I wouldn't go down to that sort of detail, because it means nothing to a lot of people. And also for a lot of photographers, having high resolving power and sharpness, it doesn't translate to great images in general anyway. And you just have to bear that in mind. And also depending on how far you're looking at a picture, you know, if you do print it out, and what sort of medium you are going to display your photos. If you're going to put it on a TV or computer screen, you aren't going to see those differences, whether it's going to be 160 lines per inch or 80 lines per inch, because you are shrinking the image down and being compressed on the internet. And that's the whole problem, and that's why I'd rather assess the lens on a real life basis. I think it's more fair to a lot of things. I know people like I said, DxO and DP Reviews do conduct those tests, but they are doing it because they are technical reviewers, so they need to test those lenses in technical terms, whether they are good or bad in those ways. But for me, like I said, don't drill down to those numbers too much, otherwise you'll be upsetting yourself a lot. And Marcus, so convenient you get lazy. Okay, that's not me. Right. Hello, Brad. How are you? Good to see you again too. I left at home. Okay. Hello, Marcin. How are you? Right. Okay. James. Hello, James. Okay, I love my Olympus Michael 4 Third 9mm fish. Oh, someone likes the body cap fisheye lens. I haven't got it. I only got the 15 f8, so I haven't tried the fisheye lens cap lens. I should get one actually, because it's a fun thing just to slap it on your camera and to try it out. Wow, you have high praises for that lens. Interesting. Maybe I will get one now, because it's not expensive. It's only about 40-50 pounds, so I should get one just to try it out to see what it looks like. Don't know if they still sell it, because I'm pretty sure that discontinue it, because I can't find them on the Olympus website anymore. And so I may have to go to eBay or something just to find it. I'm pretty sure if I Google it, someone would be selling it. Yeah, that would be cool. Okay, full of Akaras 01. All of your Olympus Pro lenses are terrible. Really? I would like to hear your thought. Because they make me lazier. Okay, I get you. Double negative. That's a good way of putting it. Very, very well done. Very well done, sir. Okay, that's pretty good. Well, the 40 to 150, man. Like I know I'm not supposed to talk about great lenses, but it's supposed to be about worse lenses. But the 40 to 150 is a pretty amazing lens. I have to agree. It's such a versatile lens for a lot of things. Whether it's going to be detail shots, portrait shots, travel. Because it's not big at all. If when you take out that collapsible lens hood, it's actually quite small, and it got constant 2.8 aperture, and it's basically sharp from 2.8 to f11. Like it's like just that good. I think that for any micro four third people out there, they should get the 40 to 150 2.8 Pro. Whether it's going to be a Panasonic guy or whatever, that is a great lens in general. And I do know a lot of filming guys use this lens on the Blackmagic because it is a very good compression lens for them, and it's fantastic at 2.8 as well. Yeah, it's a generally very, very good lens. I do agree. Okay, Marcus, I think you need to sort the chat to live chat instead of top chat if you haven't already. Right. I don't know how to set it up at the moment because I'm actually using a program to read your messages, and that I think that could be reason why. And because I only have one screen here. Maybe I have to set up a second screen because I only have one thing at a time. I can't look at two. The only problem is with the Ecamm program that I'm using at the moment. It kind of overlay everything, so it kind of blocks everything behind it. Even if I switch program or just change it to another program, it just kind of mess it all up. So that's why I can't really see all the top chat stuff, and then that's something I may have to figure out how to do that later on with the program. If I can't do it, then I have to switch to the actual live stream on YouTube to actually see the comments. That may be a little bit better that way. But then I'll get interference, so I'll try not to touch that at all at the moment, Marcus. JC makes stuff. Hello, JC. I'm JC. And the Ollie 12 to 50 kit lens. I have tried to love this lens. It does everything, but nothing very well. The 12 to 50, I presume, is also the kit lens, right, as well? Yeah, I mean, it's a weird thing to actually try to comment it because like I said earlier about kit lenses, they are great if you have no exposure to any other lenses. There's a reason why they call kit lenses, because they give you out almost for free, right? It's something that I think once you start to try something better, it's quite difficult to move back to kit lenses, and that's how I would put it. And but that's in a way unfortunate, because I think kit lenses do deserve some credit, especially the 14 to 42, the pancake zoom lens, the kit lens. That is a fantastic little thing. For me, I truly love that the compactness of that lens for traveling, because it's just small. And I use that lens actually for my family trip when I go out and about. If I don't want to carry any lenses, just one body, one lens, for family stuff, I just use that kit lens. It's good enough quality for family snaps and stuff like that. It's sharp enough to do some videos, and so it's good for me. I mean, if I know that I'm going to some places where I have to stay overnight, if I want to do some night shots or lower light shots, yes, then I'll probably take my 1.8, 1.8 lenses, maybe even my pro lenses for 1.2. But other than that, if I'm going off a day trip, and the 14 to 52 EZ, the compact pancake zoom lens thing, and that's more than enough. I think it's a underrated little lens that I actually do like. The 12 to 50 is a videographer lens. Is that right, Marcus? Let me Google it now. You got me curious about what lens it is. So Olympus 12 to 50. Oh yeah, that's the zoom lens. That's the kit lens that I have for the EM5 when it first came out. That's also the lens I sold after I got the 12mm f2. Yes, because like I said earlier, because when I actually I got that lens, I thought, wow, that is actually pretty decent. It actually performed slightly better than my at the time I was still using Canon. is better than my Canon 24-70 f2.8 L lens. I'm not joking. It was actually slightly better in some ways. So that was actually, I was quite impressed with that little lens there. But that's a but always, right? And when I got the 12mm f2, gosh, I just realized how much I was missing about a sharp lens on Micro Four Third, because that 12mm f2 just blew the socks off the to 12-50 EZ, and it's crazy how much sharper and how much more detail the 12mm f2 can actually capture compared to the to this 12-50 at 12mm. Regardless how much I stop down the lens, you still can't get close to what the 12mm f2 can do wide open, and that's how good this lens is. I know it's quite old now, the 12mm f2, but it's still, to me, is one of the best Micro Four Third lenses ever. You know, it's got the manual clutch, it's got fantastic build quality, and when you add in the optional square hood, God, I mean, it's one of the best looking lenses aesthetically. You know, on especially on a Pen F or EM5, they just the best combinations there, and that's why I love that lens so much for my street photography. and I know image quality, yeah, but you know, I would like to look good at the same time. When I'm holding a Pen F, I would like to have a good looking thing attached to it, and the 12mm f2 with the hood, gosh, the best ever combo ever. I don't know what you guys think. You know, I may be a little bit vain about that, you know, but if I do hold a Pen F, you know, I do want something, you know, quite nice looking to accompany, you know, the classic design of the Pen F. You know, I want something that looks good on it, and that 12 thing is definitely a perfect thing. And Mark and Brad, okay, let's go Brad first. Not a bad lens, but the ultra lazy 12-200 gives good results. Then the 12-200 is actually, I reviewed that lens, remember, and the 12-200, it's actually not bad, you know, and it's quite decent for what it is, and also for the range. You know, it's another mega zoom lens, right? You know, the 12-200 in a full frame is 24-400 in a lens, and this thing you can just take it for travel, you know, just one lens. Forget about everything else, and it works. It works good enough, you know, for most cases. But like I said, you really can't compare with this to the pro lenses. Obviously, the pro lens always wins, right? You know, in the image quality department at least. But build quality as well. You know, the pro lenses usually have a metal build, so compared to metal and plastic is always very, very different. But that range is crazy. 12-200, yeah, it is crazy. So retro Nighthawk. So retro Nighthawk. I can't read. You know, the screen is, the text so small. I need to go very close. The kit lens I got with my Lumix GX800 doesn't come close to the kit lens on my OMD EM10 Mark III. What kit lens are you referring to? I wonder. So I have no. Obviously, I don't have access to a lot of Panasonic gears, and I would never know what sort of kit lenses they have. The only few lenses that I tested from Panasonic is either the one that I actually bought before. I bought the 25 Samilux Panasonic Leica 1.4. I had that lens before. I do love that lens. And before I sold it and got the 25 1.2 from Olympus. I also tested the Panasonic Leica, the 42.5 1.2. God, that lens is nice, really nice. I have to admit, this is very, very nice lens. The lens is actually very, very sharp. You know, like it's kind of like too sharp. But for those people who crave sharpness and like those images that pop, the Panasonic Leica 42.5 is 1.2 is pretty darn amazing. But I just prefer the look from Olympus 45 1.2. It just gives me that slightly more gentle rendering, and that doesn't, especially shooting portrait, you know, and for lady portraits that I'm talking about, you don't want it to be too sharp, and I can guarantee that. And because a lot of the times if you use a lens that is too sharp, you actually have to soften it a little bit, especially for skins, you know. And I can give you some tips there. And I mean, I shoot ladies all the time, you know, for either for portraits and models or just my clients in general, and I just giving you some real life feedback from having a super sharp lens for those purposes. But if you don't shoot ladies a lot, if you're just simply using for street photography, you just want something to pop, yeah, the Panasonic Leica is, yeah, definitely one of the best out there. But yeah, it's just my 2 cents, you know, just my how I prefer my lens to perform in my kind of work. That's why I prefer the Olympus 45 1.2. Okay, and Morgan, hello there. I'm very happy with my 12 to 40 2.8 Pro. Is the 12 Prime much better than that? Ah, right. Okay, I would say if you compare just the 12 millimeters, they're about equal. Right, I'm not trying to make life difficult for you, but the 12 to 40 2.8 is a constant aperture zoom lens, a maximum of 2.8. So you can't really compare with the Prime because the Prime has a maximum aperture f2, which is quite a bit brighter, and also a lot smaller and lighter just because it's a single focal length. If you stop down the 12 millimeter to f2.8, I would say that it may come out just slightly, ever so slightly sharper because the lens is designed for f2. So at f2, the central sharpness is about the same as the 12 to 40 2.8. The corner is not as sharp as the 12 to 40. Definitely not as sharp because at f2 is slight sharpness at the corner. But when you stop it down to 2.8, I think the 12 f2 is actually slightly better than the 12 to 40 2.8. But I wouldn't say that something that you would notice too much. That's why I just think that they're about the same. And unless you need to use f2 at 12, then you will probably better off using the Prime, obviously, because it's faster. But other than that, the 12 to 40 is a god lens. I would say that it's a very good all-in-one. It's got fantastic build quality. It's got freeze-proof, you know, dust-proof, whatever. You know, it's a full weather seal lens. The f2 isn't, and also the 12 to 40 is basically a sharp lens through the entire range. 12 to 40, you can just pick any focal length, and it's sharp across, and it's super fast to focus. It's faster to focus than the f2 lens as well, and that's another thing to bear that in mind. And so if you don't know too much about these two lenses, or you're considering getting one or the other, then yeah, it's something that to consider. And like I said, if you need the f2 aperture, well, you only get one choice, just the f2. Okay, Lou, hello there. I'm starting with product photography. Would the 30 macro lens be a good budget option to match a GH5? Oh yes, for product photography, definitely, because in product photography you really need the versatility from a lens. You know, you need the lens to be able to capture not only from distance but also from close-up. So you need to make sure that you have this range cover. And the good thing about Micro Four Thirds macro lenses are because they you can actually get a lot of details, and because you don't have to worry about shallow depth of field too much. Because in product photography, you need the whole product to be in focus. You can do photo stacking, of course, you know, but to minimize work to generate it by doing a lot of photos and then stack them together in post, Micro Four Thirds does help because it's got deeper depth of field by default, and the 30 is very good for that matter, and it's also weather sealed as well, so you can actually take it to location if you want. My only thing would be is 3.5 aperture, but it's fine because product photography, most likely you're doing indoor, which you have a lot of you're in a controlled environment. You will have artificial light. Oh, by the way, you like my lights? This light is quite soft, right? You know, and I finally have my setup here, which I'm also talk about that later, and in my other video. So it's a very good soft light, and then well, I'm talking about soft light. No, in product photography, you have a lot of artificial light pumping to the shot anyway. So 3.5 may not actually matter too much. But it's something I just need to share that with you. I have both the 30 3.5 and also the 62.8 macro lenses. Both of them are great for product photography because they can go close, really close, and they are both super, I say it again, super sharp. And this is what you need as well. You need sharp, get the details for product photography, because unlike what I just said about portrait, you know, the 42.5, yeah, you need something to get lots and lots of details so you can process and for any sort of products that you have that you want to photograph. So yes, it's a very good choice. and for product photography. You may want to add a slightly wider lens, but depends on how big the space you have, and just have a think about that. And because I don't know what your setup is, what's your plan in product photography, whether you have the studio space or the space to work with, because 30 millimeters is slightly longer than the normal average 25, right? And then so you may be okay with 30. If you want to get really close and get a really good compression, the 60 is also very good as well. Okay. Right. Okay. Full of Akaras. Hello. Great review, by the way. Really enjoy them and like your focus on actual using the kit. Thank you very much for enjoying my reviews, and always trying to have fun, although that in lockdown is quite difficult. And I haven't been out speaking to anyone, any of my model for a long while. In fact, this morning I talked to Zoha a little bit, and yeah, I haven't seen her in a while. You kind of missed them. Yeah, hopefully I'll be able to go out and shoot again. Jason, the 72.8 got the Panasonic 21.7 to compare, immediately return the Ollie. Oh, right. Okay. The Olympus 17mm 2.8. Yeah, that's something I haven't actually mentioned. I know, I haven't tried it, but I know a lot of people say it's a bad lens. Right? Okay, if there's one Olympus lens that's going to be bad, and judging from how I see other people's reactions and also comments from either from retailers' websites or just simply Googling, I know a lot of people didn't like the 17mm 2.8 for the fact that it's a very soft lens, wide open. It's just not sharp by comparison, and it's just not great. But Jason, you have quite an extreme lens there. You got one that's been commented as bad lens, and you got one that's commented as great lens. So you got a great and a bad comparison there. Because the 21.7 is been dubbed as one of the best lenses for Micro Four Thirds since the very beginning of the Micro Four Thirds invention. Because 21.7 is one of the first lenses in the Micro Four Thirds, right? Whether Mark 1 or Mark 2, they're both great lens and great lenses. The 17-2.8, in contrast, it's just not great at all. And that's how I read them anyway. I mean, like I said, I don't have any personal experience with it, but I'm just reading from it a lot. I read some reviews and saw some sample images, and that's my take on it. It's just not as good as the Panasonic. Full stop. And also look at it. One is 2.8, one is 1.7. And the price is about the same. I would get the 21.7 any days because it's just faster and straight away. Regardless whether it's going to be better at 1.7 compared to 2.8 or not, it's brighter. And if you stop down to 2.8, I guarantee the 20 is going to be better than a 17. So anyway, so this is my take on that. And but 21.7 is a great lens, so you can't really compare to that. But I've heard that 17-2.8 isn't the best Olympus lenses ever, and judging from the reaction from a lot of the people who bought that lens and sold it afterward. Okay, Morgan, you're welcome. So Jonathan, the worst lens you ever had was the Canon 35 to I know that lens, 35 to 80 power zoom from the 90s. Very loud, slow, and no way to manual focus. That's the era when Canon was trying to be innovative. I have to give them credit. They're trying to do something that will make your life easier in a way in photography. He really wasn't aiming for pros or experienced people. He was aiming for gadget people, the nerds, who want something different. I have an electronic zoom lens on my SLR. I'm not talking about digital, SLR, and I remember that lens. It was cool. I think, okay, it may be loud because that lens didn't have any USM on it, and then you just have that, the electronic motor noise, and the thing is, the electronic noise coming from this lens wasn't the very quick zoom action. It's very slow. So when you're trying to zoom at anything, it's like is pretty annoying. I do know what you're talking about, Jonathan, and it's a crazy lens. But it's the 90s, right? It was the 90s, feeling a bit nostalgic. You know, if you get one of those lenses these days, we just laugh at it, and but it's fun. You know, I remember Minolta or even Nikon. Nikon may have something similar. But those were the days when people were really trying to do things, and I kind of miss that in a way. It's very mechanical, you know. It's not like nowadays, all like software, AI, you know, kind of thing. And it was very, very hands-on, very kind of physical invention. You know, it's quite fun. I miss that. You know, it may be a bad lens, but I miss it. Right, Stevens, hello there. Canon, do I very expensive but very soft 75 to 300 zoom? I also remember that lens, but depending on Mark II, Mark 1, Mark 2, or Mark 3, I think they have a very different version of that one. And the 75 to 300 lens wasn't a particularly good lens either. And I remember is about the same performer as the Sigma 75 to 300 at the time, which the Sigma sells for half the price. And yeah, it wasn't a good lens, and but like it's one of those kind of like a lower end lenses or even kit lens, therefore people to just get that range. But back in them days, you have to remember though, you know, like these lenses were made for film era, and for those kind of level of lenses, that's grade of lenses in film, you aren't talking about sharpness, you know, you are just basically talking about getting the shot, nothing else. so these sort of lenses are just designed to give you the ability to reach that focal length and nothing else. There's nothing about speed, nothing about image quality. Well, to a certain extent you need image quality, but a little bit, but not about sharpness, not about resolving details, not about distortion, nothing. It's just to get the shot. Full stop. A lot of these older lenses are like that, and then especially in the lower end, they weren't designed to perform, and unfortunately, but same thing can be said for about today's photography in terms of kit lenses. They really aren't designed to do too much, because obviously, you know, like it will blur the line between a lower end and a high grade lenses. They can't have the high quality and high performing low end lenses compared to the premium lenses, right? They have to draw a line somewhere, so that's all it is. And but yeah, I remember the 75 to 300. Right, Marcus, how about the 10 to 25 1.7? I read all between crap to awesome. Any thought? And the 10 to 40 12 to 42.8 or the Panna? Right, want to buy for my freaking amazing EM1. Right, okay. I have tried the 10 to 25 briefly. Right, okay, I don't have access to one, but I did try because when I went on to events, I know some of the Panasonic users, ambassador, I did try on the cameras and stuff like that. Right, my brief experience of that lens is that it's very heavy. It's too heavy for my liking. It's bulky, it's big, it's expensive. The 10 to 25 1.7 is more expensive than the 40 to 150 2.8 Pro. Is more expensive than a lot of the Micro Four Thirds lenses that you ever encounter. But at the same time, this lens does perform, and is pretty darn good as well. And because it's literally slapping on a few prime lenses together, because you're having a constant aperture of 1.7, and that's a feast on its own. And I kind of like it but hate it at the same time. Like I said, image quality, from a brief encounter with it, I wouldn't say that it's spectacular to the point that is it wow, that's cool. But it does provide you very sharp image. Does have fairly good rendering. It does have that Leica pop that I told you about earlier with the Nocticron, the 42.5 1.2. It does have that trait because it's designed by Leica, right? But still, this lens, if you are working with a Micro Four Thirds camera, especially on the EM1, and it is very front heavy, really front heavy, because this thing is it's just like a chunk of rock. And then for that, I would probably go for the 2.8. I know you're losing quite a bit of light, but if you really want the portability, and also for the weight issue, if you're going traveling a lot, whatever, and the 12 to 40 2.8 is better. And also don't forget that the 12 in terms of sharpness, the 12 to 40 is also as sharp, if not sharper, than a Panasonic Leica 10 to 25 in the equivalent range. But yeah, you are just losing out basically 1.7 against f2.8. Depending on your priorities, if you do shoot a lot of low light, if you need to shoot in low light a lot, then I would guess the 10 to the 25 1.7 may be a better choice. If, first of all, if you can afford it. It's really expensive. Second, if you can hold the weight for that long, because like I said, it's a very heavy lens, very bulky lens. And third, yeah, kind of relate to that, if you don't mind the bulk, it's just big. You know, imagine that you have put in your bag, you have to have some space for it, and that's quite a bit chunkier than the 12 to 40 2.8 from Olympus. So your choice, you know, and I kind of give you my experience with it. You know, although I haven't reviewed that lens, I haven't got it for long enough for me to tell you fully what I think about it, and from the brief encounter, that's my thought about it. Right, okay, and Burana, yes, I got this 17 2.8 and sold it immediately. Burana, just say the same thing as that then. So 17 2.8 is a bad lens then. Probably the only bad lens from Olympus. Well, I'm an ambassador. I can't say things bad for Olympus, right, all the time. And but you know, I'm just being honest. I say it because I care, right? You know, if I can't be an arse licker all the time, you know. And I got to be honest to Olympus. If anyone wants to improve, you're gonna be honest, right? Take criticism, you know, like I mentioned in my photography 101 videos a couple of weeks back. And this the only way to improve is to listen and improve. So if the 72.8 is a crap lens, come on Olympus, give us a 17 2.8 Mark II, maybe a 17 1.7 pancake lens. How's that? If Panasonic can do a 21.7, I'm pretty sure you can do a 17 1.7. I'm giving you some hints, Olympus. So let's do that lens. Right, okay, and Todd, my worst lens was the Sigma 24 to 70 2.8 from the early 80s. Oh my goodness me, you're talking about way back. Yes, somebody, like I mentioned earlier, the early Sigma lenses was pretty darn bad actually, and but they, at the same time, they were cheap. They were dirt cheap compared to the Canon or Nikon equivalent. You know, like you can't really compare because they are the lenses, right? You know, if people ever get into professional arenas or going to become a enthusiast in photography, if they want high quality lenses, they will go for the official lenses from Canon or Nikon at a time. And Sigma is for those who can't afford it, which is like myself. I couldn't afford it, so I bought the Sigma lens. And but yeah, there is a difference. The olden days of Sigma lenses were pretty bad, and but it's all it was about affordability. You know, that's what third-party lenses were known for. You know, affordabilities, to make sure that they you know, the people who can't afford the good stuff, you know, the genuine stuff, and then it's, I wouldn't say they're knockoff, but then it's just an option, in a economical option for people who can't have that deep wallet, you know, just to pay for those expensive lenses, because photography is expensive. Right, Rune, hello there. And my worst lens is Samyang 500. Oh, another mirror lens. Hello there, mirror lens. 500 f8. You're probably better off doing a crop, unless you have plenty of light. Then it is okay. What can I say about mirror lenses? And they are, you know, they are good and bad at the same time. You know, good because they're affordable and you can get 500, right? But bad because modern day photographers now, I think that we kind of all got past the mirror thing now, and it's not for everybody. I can tell you that rendering is something else, and mirror lenses, especially if you guys haven't seen one of those, just Google mirror lens and see some of those sample images, the bokeh is always going to be an onion ring. They're all rings, because how we design the lens. If you look at how the lens is constructed, they literally, it's like a telescope. They have the little mirror in the middle of the lens that reflects it back into the rear elements of the lens. And that's why you're generating all these circles, bokeh around the edges. And I keep hitting this mic here, and that's all it is. But it's in a way, it's fun. I mean, I took when I reviewed the mirror lens, and I took some pictures, and I thought it was kind of artistic. So if you want to create that look, and I guess that's probably the only way, because you can't really manipulate an image in post-production to that extent, because all the bokeh is gonna be a ring. So if you want lots of rings in your in your photos, mirror lens is the only way. But I guess that it isn't something that for everybody these days is not easy, to kind of appreciate or even accept this type of rendering. I wouldn't say that mirror lenses are actually that bad in that sense, but they are fixed aperture, and they are manual focus. There's no autofocus in mirror lenses, and the rendering is, like I said, is definitely not everybody's taste. It's fun. It's still fun. And to me, I will have one just for fun, and or as a collection in a way, because it's part of our photographic history. It's part of it. And I know that I don't think many people would make mirror lenses anymore. And so that's the thing, they become rarer and rarer and less every day now, and you don't see them. And so they are part of the history. So that's how I would put it. That's why I wouldn't mind having one as a collection, because I like to collect junks. And so that I would have a mirror lens just for show. Maybe every now and then just pick one up and just take some ring photos, and just to cheer myself up. Oh, good for Olympus. Not for Olympus. Olympics. Good for Olympics. They got lots of rings, right? So, and so Rudolph, your worst lens ever was a 400mm full frame but no name lens. Ooh, okay, no name lens. I had it on my OM2N. A friend of mine borrowed it and never returned it. Funny. Okay, Johnny, Sigma 17 to 52.8. Right, okay, and very soft low end, and we even venture to say that it has a shallower lens on very first camera, and that was a fat. Oh, the fat lenses. The fat lenses are Russians, and yes, I've got very grey hair. I got no hair. How's that? So there's no comparison there. Wow. Okay. Well, I guess the 17 to 52.8 were probably one of the earlier Sigma lenses again, before the art thing coming on, and back in the era is yeah, like I said, Sigma weren't that impressive in terms of optical quality compared to modern Sigma lenses, because I do admire Sigma in the way that they never stop. They never really stop inventing and or creating optics, and also they like to improve. They like to put their name up as one of the premier level compared to the rest of the lens manufacturing. They still have some way to go compared to like the likes of Zeiss, for instance, and but they are definitely a lot better compared to the olden days, at least the days I used to remember what Sigma was. The latest art lenses, you've seen so many positive reviews of them, and they are almost as good as some of the high grade lenses from Sigma and Canon and Sony, whatever. May not be to the top level, but definitely in the top 25%. So I think as a company they've done well, but I do agree, that some of the older Sigma lenses weren't that impressive at all. They were quite soft. I remember some of my lenses, like I mentioned earlier about Bigma, right? And they weren't that great. The fat lenses, I remember the fat lenses as well. I have a couple of them, and I still have some Russian cameras and lenses. They are pretty okay, if you're craving for those old vintage look, especially on films. They do look quite decent. They do give you some characters, and Russian lenses is the early days of knockoffs from either Japanese or Germany lenses, right? That's how they copy a lot of the designs and stuff like that, and they were selling for dirt cheap. You go on eBay, look for fat lenses, they are dirt cheap. Most of them are dirt cheap. Although these days they've been inflated, because there are a lot of hippies out there, who like to shoot films, and then and that's why the demand has somehow creeped up again, and a lot of these older Russian lenses are selling for premium, especially like the likes of like the 20mm f5.6 Zenit lens. That's a wide angle Zenit lens. That thing is selling for 400-500 quid. For a Russian lens, used to cost like 20 quid, and now it's like 500 quid. Like, come on. But anyway, that's another story. I'm not going to talk about it, but it's getting crazy because a lot of people are inflating these secondhand old Russian lenses prices. They were dirt cheap before, but now you have to pay a little bit premium. Although if you know where to look them, you know what they are, and you can still pick up some bargains. But just if you see something like over £200 for a Russian lens, forget it. They're overpriced, and then and unless they are the ultra rare collectibles, and but there are far and few in between. So just be careful when you do buy some Russian lenses on the second-hand market. Don't pay premium for it. Do some research and making sure that you're not overpaying the asking price, because a lot of the Russian lenses, they first of all, they aren't that great. Some of them, and the image quality, the quality control back in the days weren't very consistent. So some of them, if you read some reviews saying that, oh, it's great, it's one of the best lenses ever, don't just blindly listening to it, because like I said, the quality assurance from the build back in those olden days weren't very consistent. There will be lots of lemons out there, so like don't just blindly believe it. Don't see the price tag. Oh wow, 150 or 200 pounds, that must be a good lens. Don't just simply believe in it. And especially buying from eBay, you haven't seen it, haven't tested the lens. Don't try it. Ask for a sample photos taken from that lens. Yeah, that's my tips on you if you want to buy something on eBay, especially in older vintage lenses. Trust me. Yeah, otherwise you regret it, because trying to return those lenses to like Russia. I got no lights. Okay, never mind. I have backups. That's my backup. Although it's not as soft, but it's still backup. Yeah, I was using battery, by the way. That's why. Okay. that's why I got backup. And so I was testing how long the battery actually lasts, but so it does last round about 2 hours in full blast. So not bad for a battery power light source. Okay, enough for the Russian lenses. So John Allen is saying Henimax lenses weren't so great years ago. Oh, Henimax. I remember those names too. It's one of those like kind of like a very, very like affordable lenses, and for film cameras. I remember those. Lots of people bought them though, because I think they were really dirt cheap. I haven't got one. I haven't had one before, and I've seen them on the second-hand market. So Morgan, I had the original film and 500mm lens from the Olympus. Right. Oh, you still have the. That's good. And have tried it on the EM1 compared to 75-300 Micro Four Thirds, cropped to the same picture angle. The 75-300 is still sharper. Well, I wouldn't disagree with you. It can't compare with the olden and the modern day lenses. The mirror lens is very old. The mirror lenses design, even though the release date may be newer than the 75-300. I'm just for argument's sake, but mirror lenses in general, they're very old. They're very cheap designs, and then they, like I said, they use mirrors, and that's it. They don't use elements inside. It's very simple. One piece of glass at the front, one piece of glass at the back, and inside's all mirror. So like that's why like there are a lot of diffractions going on. There's a lot of ghostings, kind of thing, happening, and because it's literally a mirror bouncing lights everywhere, and that's why there's not control. That's the word I was trying to say. There's not control. The light transmission from the outside to the sensor is not controlled properly, But on the flip side, it's cheap and you do get the focal length, and that's why it's so cheap to buy. Randy, hello, good morning from California. Oh, how's the weather over there? Good evening from the North Germany with a hot coffee and greeting. Oh, my coffee is gone cold. Fantastic. Have you guys have coffee? This is my 4th cup today, and I need to keep myself awake to edit my videos tonight. Right. I meant sharper, and don't get me wrong, I've got the 30-60 2.8 lenses and are such a bargain and very sharp. Good bang for the buck. Yes. Oh, Randy, you have. Yes. Right. Anyone has photo sniper? Anyone? Randy, if you have a Zenith photo sniper, you're my buddy because I'm a photo sniper collector. Yes, I have 5 photo snipers. Yeah. I'm a nut in terms of photo sniper. I go as far as I would say that I was collecting photo sniper everywhere in the world. I bought my first photo sniper in Prague, in Europe. And that was the very first time I came across it. I thought it's a very funky looking thing, so I just bought it. It came with the metal case, like a World War II bullet containers. I bought it, and I was in love with it. Love at first sight, even though I know it's a crap thing. But then I bought it, and then and I bought it at a premium because I didn't know what it was. I just thought it looks funky. It cost me 120, 150 euro at the time, and which is quite expensive for what it is because I get it much cheaper. But as soon as I got back to UK, and I started looking at it, I started taking picture with it. Yes, I did. I took picture with it. I found it. It's actually okay. I mean, it came with 2 lenses, right? In the case, it came with the 300 f4, 4.5. I can't remember what aperture it was now. And it also come with the Helio 44mm, right? It has that lens as well, so it's good 2 lenses in a box, and a 70E SLR. So it came as a full kit. It's actually a pretty funky thing, right? So I got back to UK. I got hooked into it, and I started searching more stuff about it, and then and I realized that they have different versions in the history. So I started collecting them, and I even bought the earliest version of it, is which come with the white lens. Yeah, I don't know what version you got, but I had the white lens with a slightly lighter color box and the case. And so it's very different era. The very first one is the collectibles now, the white lens ones, and because there are only a few of them ever made. So I collected that one, and I had the normal one, which I had about 3 normal ones, the normal black version, and I had the later version, the ones that I think they released in the late 80s and early 90s. It's kind of one of the last batch that comes without the metal case, but with a kind of fake leather case, which is nowhere near as good. But it does have a brand new camera body, still the same lens but a different body, using electronic shutters and stuff like that, which I'm not too fond with because I much prefer the full mechanical camera. But yeah, I'm a big photo sniper fan. Wow, I'm surprised you have it. Yeah, I think I paid $100 a long time ago and came with a case 300. Yeah, it is. It's coming with filters as well, right? It got a bunch of filters, different color filters for black and white photography, and it's fun. It is pretty fun, I'm telling you. But I tell you now, I wouldn't dare to take that lens out in public, simply because I might get arrested, man. Look, if you put that thing together, you got a proper trigger, it does look like a gun, like if you take it out, and so if I take it to central London, I guarantee I'll get arrested or questioned by police, which is a shame, these days. And I know that I know it's for the safety of public, but things like these shouldn't be a problem, but I know I can guarantee, because I even holding a tripod, I get questioned by police. It's just, in London is a bit crazy these days. I go out with a tripod, I get questioned, I get stopped by police. You know, imagine that. You know, this is not great for night photography, right? I can't shoot without night photography, even though I know we got insane IBIS. But then it's still, you know, like why can't I use my tripod? I'll get. Last time I went out London with a tripod, I get stopped by police. 5 different police came over and stopped me 5 times when I was halfway doing my shot. Imagine that. You know, like at the end, I actually talked to the last policeman. I actually spoke to him. Right, can you give me a note so that I don't get stopped again? All I'm doing is taking photos, and you already got 4 other colleagues ask me the same thing, and I told them the same thing every single time. And you're the 5th person, so can I just get stopped? Stop! Can you stop you guys from asking me again doing photography, which is, oh my god, the whole London thing is just crazy. And but he eventually wrote me a note. he did write me a note saying that, okay, if another guy come over and ask you something, just present that note, because he's got his PC number, the police number, saying that this has already interviewed me and I'm safe to do whatever I'm doing. Photography is hard these days, man. I'm telling you, you know, it's not as easy as it was. It's not as free as it was. You know, you're trying to photograph something. If there was a young kid suddenly walk past you, if you so happen to have a lens pointing in that direction, the parents would rush over and start to slap your face. And I'm telling you, it happened to me. I'm not joking. Well, it didn't slap my face, but it's well, another story, another day. It's just the toughness that we have to endure as a photographer these days, especially you photograph a lot in the public, and it's not easy, man. Right, and John Allen said he picked up a Fat 4 lens for £10 from a charity shop. See, if you know where to look for them, they are cheap still. I thought adapting the my Ollie 300 Pro and the EM1X to the photo sniper mount, and have been someone did the modification for that. Interesting. But you can adapt the 300 tear lens from the photo sniper to Olympus body. It's quite easy. It's just a M42 mount, right? It's just a screw mount. So you can just buy an adapter, put it on the Olympus. Although I haven't done that, I would like to try that though. Maybe I should try that. Interesting. Right, guys, thank you, and it's been a very, very fun chat, and then I'm having so much fun talking about all these different lenses. As you can see, that my smile is back, and then doing live stream once again is been fascinating. It's been very relaxing to me, you know, like to chat about something that I'm passionate about, you know, about photography, about gear, and of course, you know, even though that I said gear is secondary as a photographer's life, always, but you know, you can't stop having some fun with it, right? Sometimes, as a guy like myself who's seen and touched so many different cameras and lenses through my career. And also I mentioned to you that I'm also kind of like a collector in a way, so I do enjoy listening to you guys, your experience about certain lenses, certain equipment, and it always makes me smile, because it's something is always quite fun to share, you know, like especially with different generations as well, you know, like you know, I have my experience about a typical era during my career, but I know there are some younger photographers, some older photographers who have different sort of experience and different sort of knowledge about certain things, so I would like to absorb all this as well for my own good in a way, and so it's all good. I'm also learning from you guys, which is actually part of the fun, and yeah, so it's always good to see you guys, and I really greatly appreciate all your support, like I mentioned earlier. And this is the very first stream of the year, so don't worry, my stream is coming back, and so I'm going to do another one next week and so forth. So we're gonna go back to the normal schedule of every Wednesday 3 p.m. London time. You know, if you're from different part of the world, just remember to tune in, and that will be good. Yeah, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, don't forget to click that sub button, and also put in the bell as well, so you know what I'm gonna do in the future. I do release a lot of contents for both stills and videos, not just about Olympus and Micro Four Thirds, but also photography 101, which is nothing to do with gear. It's just purely talk about photography. I share my knowledge. If you got question, you are very welcome to message me, and I got my social up here, so you can like see my social there, my website and everything, so you can communicate with me. I know a lot of people already done so, and so that will be fantastic. Anyway, it's always great to catch up with all of you, and so happy to see quite a few of you guys joined in as well, which is fantastic. Although I haven't really got time to go through the worst lens list from Facebook because I'm just reading out all your live comment here. So that's all part of the fun. So thank you once again for your support, and remember, next week same time, bring your coffee. We have another topic to talk about, whether it's going to be photography, whether it's going to be Olympus, whether it's going to be something. Just stay tuned, and I will announce it usually a day or two before on the community post, but you'll definitely see the thumbnail in this particular playlist, which is Coffee Time with Jimmy Cheng. So you'll definitely see that here. So Mark, I just saw your comment saying that you bought the TG6 yesterday. Nice. TG6 is fantastic. Great stuff. Anyway, so thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you all again very soon. And stay tuned for my Sunday's release. This is about this UFO, unidentified flying object. Pretty much. Right, okay guys, I see you all very soon then. I will end my thing. Let's go the outro. 1, 2, 3, go. Bye for now.